Major life event can come along and shift what we thought was balance for us.
Yeah, that she told a friend that she does therapy. She's been doing it for years. And her friend said, "Oh, but that's not good." And she said, No. My therapy is what I do for me. It is a form of self-care. And
because it's that overflow that you give to everyone else.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Nyoka Samuels. I'm so glad to have her here. Miss Nyoka, tell everyone a little bit about what you do and who you serve.
Thank you, Shani. Thank you so much for having me. I want to say that first and foremost.
Absolutely.
I am by trade a registered nurse, and I've moved into the health and wellness space and completed certification as an integrative health coach. And so what I do is I look at the person holistically, and from there, we decide what they want or what aspect of their health that they want to work on first. But we look at you as a whole individual so that we don't neglect all the different aspects of you towards holistic health and wellness.
Awesome. Now, even though in your business you're coach, you are a trained registered nurse, correct?
Yes, by trade I am, and I've been that for almost 20 years.
Wow.
But because of I'm going to be honest, the reluctance to accept things that we know help people's health and wellness, specifically identifying who you are culturally, specifically identifying your heritage. That's a major space that's lacking inside of the traditional health systems as we see it right now. Of course, we know racism is intertwined in everything. I make that a part of what we do and understand that that severely impacts our health. So I help to connect the people that I serve with who they are and who they feel comfortable as in their skin. And so that they can walk with confidence in whatever rooms that they go to, because it's a part of our health and wellness, hands down.
Yeah. So are you primarily helping like people in the BIPOC community? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, primarily I am, although I attract other ethnicities as well. And I'm very comfortable working with anyone because I'm comfortable with who I am.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. So tell me, what made you even get into doing that?
Well, as I was saying before, I've been inside the healthcare system, working inside corporate America. A lot of people don't view healthcare as corporate America, but it is. And it had an impact on me where I experienced burnout. There are many times in my career where I jumped on the cycle of burnout, jumped off, jumped on, and I realized that there were ways to develop rituals or habits that cut burnout right in the nip, like cut it
like
right
nip it in the bud.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is reinforce that and emphasize that with the people that I work with, so that when they feel that they're going down that road, they know what to put in place and to gather themselves and just recalibrate in a way that is meaningful for them. It doesn't have to be meaningful for anyone else. It really doesn't. Yeah. And that's what health is. Yeah. How is it meaningful for you in all the different aspects of who you are?
Now, you've said that it doesn't have to be anyone else. It really is an individualized process. And I think that's important for people to really know. Like, it doesn't forget what other people are saying. Forget what they define as healthy or whatnot. What do you feel? What is your body telling you? And I'm really hearing you say that you help people identify what that is and how to really cultivate and nurture that within them. And I think that's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you so much. Especially as healthcare professionals, we neglect ourselves. We have a tendency to neglect ourselves. So, what I wanted to do in my business was create something that I feel I'm being filled up with,
Yeah.
right? And that when my ideal people that I serve come to me, they feel full as well. As a matter of fact, I like to say overflowing,
Yeah.
right? We
Nice.
work together not just to fill your cup or full your cup. We work together to overflow your cup because
Mm-hmm.
it's that overflow that you give to everyone else. What's
Yeah.
in your cup, that's for you, and you never give that away.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And that's a really important note because, like you say, not only in the medical profession, but like as an entrepreneur in general, we always are like doing all the things, especially as a mom. I find that I'm always balancing like the business, like loving on myself, and then also making sure that I'm there for my children and like really present for them. I mean, I'm lucky. My kids are like, Mommy, we support you. Do your thing. They're not like, I feel neglected. I don't get that. So I'm like so grateful for that when I'm working super late. But they understand. It's still a balance though, because even though they understand, I still want to like pour into them and be there for them. So it's important to make sure that we are checking in with ourselves, doing all the things. So it makes me want to ask you, digging a little deeper. You talked about burnout, like that you had experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me a little bit about what that was? And is that really like what triggered you to start the business or?
Okay, so the business was birthed during COVID.
Okay.
Because what I had been doing in my life after I experienced what burnout felt like several times in my career, there was an opportunity that opened up for my husband to gain employment in another state.
Okay.
So we're going way back now. We're going back to like 2014, 15. And I was at home with the children, and working the way that I was in corporate America was not suitable for my family lifestyle anymore. My husband was out of state. My children needed me way more than before. Yeah. And so I had to remove myself from the bedside and go into case management and work from home. And that allowed me to be more present for my children because I wasn't at work for 12 hours in a shift, trying to work 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So that was the first major shift. The second major shift was COVID. The world changed, right? And many of us realized that we couldn't just keep going on the same cycle anymore. We had to come inside and do some introspection, right? Some of us did not even like ourselves.
Yeah.
If we couldn't manage outside, if we couldn't get to our work, it shattered our world. So what did we do? So during COVID, we hosted a series of workshops, a nonprofit that I sit on the board of called Wawa Aba. And we talked about a process called Please Spirit. So once we did our tests and we talked with folks about the process and we worked with people through the process, we said, wait a minute, these are things that we have been doing for years. Let's solidify it and put it inside of a program. Right. So that's what we did, and 7 Healing Waters was birthed, and I used that Please Spirit process inside of my one-to-one coaching to help people reconnect with who they are so that they can show up as their best selves in their families and in their communities. And I decided to specialize in healthcare professionals because we neglect ourselves the most, I feel. I know that I experienced it myself. And it's challenging to care for others when your cup is not even full. Your cup is half. What are you giving? Yeah. You're giving things that you don't even have to give. So using please spirit and filling our cups and recognizing what brings us joy, what components of who we are helps us to give freely. And that's where Seven Healing Waters was born. And the Caregivers Care System was then shortly born after that.
That's awesome. So how long is your program when people come to work with you? Typically, how long do they work with you for?
Typically, I like to work with the people I serve for about 4 months. However, it's a lot. It can be a lot to process. And we're talking about transformation, right? And that takes time. We're not talking about quick fixes. Sometimes we have to try this holistic modality to see if it aligns. Then if we realize that doesn't align with me, I want to shift to something else, we use our SMART goals to determine when that shift is going to take place. And I honestly like to work with people on a continuous basis until they feel like they can utilize the please spirit process on their own, and then off you go. You know, I don't want you to use the system like a crutch, but I do want you to understand that it is trial and error, that it is evolution, and we have to take that time with ourselves, have that patience with ourselves to know, okay, what is my next step?
It reminds me of something that Kerry Washington said recently. I saw, I don't know, maybe on LinkedIn or whatever, one of those social media platforms, where she was saying that she told a friend that she does therapy. She's been doing it for years. And her friend said, oh, but that's not good. And she said, no. My therapy is what I do for me. It is a form of self-care. And so I want people to hear that when you say that you want to work with them on a continual basis, it's because you can come out of alignment. You can do the work. You can come into a place where you feel really good about yourself and you're like, I'm doing the right things. I'm listening to my body, and a life event can trigger it, and you can come out of alignment. And so it is important to have these things as self-care on an ongoing basis. So I just wanted to put that out there so people will know, like, it's okay to do it, long term. This is a form of self-care.
Yes, Shani, I love what you said. A major life event can come along and shift what we thought was balance for us.
Yeah.
Right? Here, a new baby, I have my 5-year-old, he's 5. He comes along and it's like, wait a minute, the toddler stage again. It's different than having teenagers. I have 2 teenagers, they're at a different stage. The 5-year-old needs me in a different way. So how do I use my own tools to make sure that I'm at a place where I'm not frustrated with the 5-year-old, but I'm grounded. So that I'm grounded. And what does that look like for me? Well, for me, it looks like soaks. It looks bath soaks. I curate my own bath soaks. It looks like meditation. It looks like time for prayer. It looks like journaling. This 5-minute journal right here, the 5-minute journal.
Now tell me about this, because I have seen this on social media. I'm like, I thought it was like one person's brand because she is always talking about it. Break it down for me. What is this 5-minute journal all about? I need to know.
Well, to be honest with you, I just got this as a gift and I just started using it. But when I read the introduction and what this is intended to do, it's in alignment with my business and my brand. So I said, okay, well, let me start using this. And when you read the impacts of having a morning routine and a night routine and how important discipline is, to be disciplined for yourself, not for your business, not for your, I want to say your boss, like your employer, not to be disciplined for someone else, but to be disciplined for you so that you can go inside and experience growth and expansion and enlightenment. It's so very important. So what this journal does is it gives you space in the morning where you can journal and write, and it gives you space in the night for you to journal and write. And so you develop this routine where this is now at my bedside, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I don't reach for my phone. I reach for my journal.
Oh, I just felt so convicted when you said that, because my phone is always, actually, it's usually under my pillow. It's really bad. Like last night, actually, it's so funny because last night I literally thought, okay, I'm gonna plug it up somewhere else, and then maybe that'll help me sleep better. And then I was like, girl, you can't, you don't have that kind of discipline. And I took it off the charger and put it right under my phone. And I thought, man, this is a problem. But I live far away from my family too, so it's always, well, what if they call me? What if they need something? They're probably not going to call. They're probably not going to need something at 3:00 in the morning, but I don't know. I just keep that phone close.
Yeah.
But this is better, right? Like having, and then also I would imagine that having that type of discipline into your routine is, well, every morning I'm going to kind of write out, well, what are my thoughts for the day? What are the things that I have to do? Like what's top of mind for me? And in the afternoon or in the evening, kind of like a little brain dump. So yeah, that's out, because then you sleep better, right? Mm-hmm. And it is true that having a routine is so important. The days I'm like addicted to checklists. I always have a to-do list, like it's a running to-do list, and I just get such a high when I like check it off, like, yep, I did it. I feel so good about myself.
I'm so happy that you brought up checklists. Because so many of us treat our goals like a checklist. But when we take a deep dive into what goals really are, it's so much more than a checklist, right? And so all these little tasks, you say, okay, you can have a checklist pages long, but what was your goal for checking all those boxes?
Well, for me, I just feel good. I'm like, yeah, I did that thing. That was awesome. I'm feeling really good. But what I have found, it's actually better because usually my checklists are around the business, right? And like moving things forward in the business. Yeah. So the ultimate goal is to get to where I want to be, to hit that, like if it's a website that I want to get done, like, okay, or if it's a client, that I'm working on, well, how do I get that done? So ultimately it's, this boost of, what is it? What is that thing called? Not endorphin.
Dopamine?
There you go. A nice little dopamine hit. You feel like, yes.
A little dopamine hit.
But what I have found that my checklist is not nearly as satisfying as when I put myself on a schedule. When I put myself on a schedule and I actually like, well, let me take what's on my checklist and schedule it into my day, I feel more satisfied because I'm like, one, I don't feel like I just did a whole bunch of things and my time was just running away. I feel managed. I feel like, oh, well, I'm done now. I can probably go sit down and relax. I find more time for myself when I put myself on a schedule. When I'm just doing that checklist, I'll just keep going.
All right. I'm going to power up from that.
Okay.
All right. So you have your daily checklist. What about if at the end of the week, you have a goal that you can say, okay, I completed X amount of tasks in my business so that I could do such and such, because it has to be realistic, right? So I can increase my income and I can see that I did increase my income after a week's time or after 2 weeks. When you can also put your goals in your calendar and say, yes, I accomplished that goal, which is a little different than accomplishing a task.
Yeah. Right? So it's like those KPIs kind of, right? Like,
so you know what they are in business. So what about what they are for you? We know how to use them very well in business.
Yes.
But what about in our lives, in our daily life? We know they work in business because businesses are like a machine that we expect to be productive all the time. Productivity is top of mind all the time inside of a business. But what about your personal productivity?
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. All right. Well, I accept your challenge and I'm going to set a goal for myself because I don't get nearly enough sleep because I'm always like thinking about work and, it's just a thing. So I I will be intentional about setting a goal that I will manage my tasks throughout the day efficiently so that I can get more sleep at night.
Okay.
I will set that as a goal.
Okay. And you'll do that, and I'll track that for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back and revisit it.
Yes.
Did I? Was I able to? Because if I was able to, then maybe I can challenge myself a little bit more and take it up a notch. Did I not? Okay, well, maybe I need to scale back so that I can achieve this thing and feel good. There goes the dopamine again, and feel good about what I'm doing, and then gradually step it up, you know? Yeah. I think that's helpful to look at things like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. All right. So I'm gonna.
So what I did was I did a little coaching there.
Y'all hear the benefits of working with her? Because that's a transformation right there. I think sometimes we're always looking for like, oh, well, I want my whole life to be completely different than it was. It's the little things, right? Like you make those little shifts. Like if I get more sleep, if I'm able to get more sleep, just think about how more productive I can be during the day. How much more time I can have, like you spoke about that overflow, really pouring not from an empty cup, but pouring from a full overflowing cup. Like what could that look like, right? We're all looking to make an impact, and like most of my listeners are entrepreneurs and they're balancing motherhood and all of the things, and we're not getting into it because, well, I experienced this bad thing and so I want to, I just thought I would make it a whole business. Like we really want to make impact because you can experience a thing and then just keep it trucking, right? It takes a special person to say, well, now I want to turn that around and help other people. So it's really a calling on our lives that we are stepping into and that we're braving, that we're facing bravely. And I think it's important that we take stock of these things and that what was my purpose? Yes, my purpose for saying that was that we want to make an impact, and so we have to take care of ourselves and make those adjustments along the way, and then look at how overall what a big difference it made. Not immediately looking for a huge impact, but like doing the work to get there. So,
that's right. Another thing that I offer inside of my business, I like to call them wellness tours. Because culture is so important to me, we do tours to places like Ghana, West Africa, and Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Many people don't know that when the transatlantic enslavement was supposedly ended, they were still taking Africans from East Africa and smuggling them to other parts of the world. Wow. This is a big historic site. And there you find a lot of, they call New York City the melting pot. Man, you haven't seen a melting pot until you travel to some of these other places in the world, like Dar es Salaam. You see the Arab influence, you see the Indian influence, and then you still have the indigenous African influence. And so it's a powerful wellness retreat in the fact that you get to connect with nature in ways that in Babylon or in the United States, you may not be able to connect. And so wellness tours are also something that I offer to help to drastically reduce the stress and tension that we feel as people of African descent living in the United States of America, because that is real.
Yeah, very real. Like I actually went to, I don't want to say it wrong, Côte d'Ivoire last summer, and we spent a month there, me and my girls, and it was such a blessing. One, first of all, I look just like Trinidad, right? That's where my family is from.
Oh, I know I heard the Caribbean accent. I couldn't place where, but I knew. I said, no, this person is from the Caribbean. Shani is from the Caribbean, so you're from Trinidad. I love it.
Yep. My entire family is from there. So when I actually was able to take my daughters and my mom, and it was like 3 generations of women who were able to do this. And it was, it was such like the highlight of my life to be able to do that.
The highlight of your life. Listen, no one can ever take that experience away from you again. And your ability to stay a month.
Well,
I
and
mean,
I have to thank my friend because she was living there at the time. So when you travel places, right? It's always like I can fly there, but where am I going to stay?
right.
So I was able to stay with my friend. I was so blessed to be able to do that. But we learned so much about the culture. First of all, I didn't know how many places in Africa where they speak French. So I don't know what I was expecting. I just wasn't expecting that. And I should have, because it's, everybody always says the Ivory Coast, because we always got to Americanize everything. But really, when they're there, it's Cote d'Ivoire, and so we're there, and they're speaking French, and I'm just like, I love it. Like, I love you guys. Like, this is so nice.
I love that you talk about this. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean
No,
to
it's okay. It's okay, because what happened right before we went on that trip. I think it was Anthony O'Neill, and he said it in public, but Anthony O'Neill actually made a comment that he wants to be able to see his kids one day go to Africa and see that there's people living in trees. And I was like, it just, at the time, it sounded so, and I mean, he could have meant a million things. He could have meant, like, literally there might be people who that is part of their culture to, like, build homes in trees. I don't know. But it just came across very ignorant at the time. And so when I was there, I was like, if only Anthony O'Neill could see us now. Because their houses are huge and they're gorgeous and they're more modern than even some of the things that we have here. And I was just like, and there's people there who like sweep the streets. That's their job, is like to sweep the streets. And I was like, this is, wow. It's just such a different world. And we do really have to get out and see other things, because we think America is like the end all be all, but baby, it's not. Like, there's so many other amazing places to see, and I could ramble, but go ahead, child.
I love it. I love that we have this connection, because I didn't know that we had this connection before.
Yes.
So I sit on a board of Wawa Aba Corporation. Mm-hmm. And so we're a 501c3 here in America, but we're also an NGO in Ghana. Nice. And what we like to do is bring people over, and we do tours to Ghana, to Togo. We've even done tours to Benin.
Oh, beautiful.
And yes. And so you get an opportunity to cross the country lines and realize that, these lines are not created by the people. Because even though you jump over and you cross over to Togo, they speak French there. The Ghana side speaks English, but it's the same people.
Yep.
Traditionally, they dress the same. They have some of the same customs. The borders are not theirs.
Yeah.
It's colonialism. And so you get to realize that the cultures are diverse, even though they're similar. You get to understand how they look at life and their wellness, and how it doesn't take much to be happy there, And so it's a different way of life. When you're born and raised in America, you have a different mindset. But in order to gain our wellness in a very special way, we have to reconnect. And that's what I do when folks come on and they coach with me, is they achieve that connectedness with themselves that they possibly never had before.
And I think also perspective, right? Because when you, sometimes we look at these things that are going on in our life, like, oh my God, it's so big. It's like, how can I take this on? But when you realize we're just like this small little, it's like, you know what? It's fine. Everything will be all right. Eventually it'll work itself out. It really puts things in perspective. Like, for me, that is one of the impacts that it had of like traveling and being able to see that is, wow. Like, we're here in, United States, and we travel all different states here. But when you travel outside the country and you see different things, and you realize, man, the world is so big, right? Yeah. My world sometimes feels big, but the world itself really is big. I'm just like this little factor. I can impact my people. I can influence, and share my positivity and my love and light in the world, and it will ripple and it'll have effects and all of that. But sometimes it is just small stuff and we can't allow it to consume us. We just have to breathe through it. You know what I mean? Like, even when we first got on our call before we hit record, and I was talking faster because I just felt like a little overwhelmed, and you walked me through, just breathe. You know, I was like, yeah, okay, you're right. Calm down, it'll be all right. But it happens, and that kind of goes back to what we spoke about earlier about how like small life events can get you out of alignment, like with what you were doing. Before that, I was fine. I was in a very good headspace, and then the technology didn't want to work the way I wanted it to work, and I was like, oh, you know.
Yeah, you get frazzled. Frazzled. Yeah, absolutely. You absolutely do. And so, you know, what do you have in place? I know that the IT thing is you know, you recover, you can bounce back from that. Yeah. But what do we do? What do we have in place when something even more major happens? You know, how can we pull ourselves back and be grounded again? And that's what we get into the core of. What can I do for myself to put myself back into a place where I feel balanced?
Yeah. Another thing that you had mentioned before we started like recording was that you find so much value in sometimes just talking to people. Sometimes that is more what they need. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I find that, you know, I have this course, I have prompts for you to follow. I have this amazing course with videos and everything for folks to watch. And I find that sometimes people just want the sacred space time. There's a place inside of the program that I call sacred space. And most people just use that space to debrief from the last time we spoke until that moment. And they talk about what's their biggest challenge, right? Yeah. And we talk about, okay, how can you overcome that challenge? We talk about how did they use the tools that we've been learning? And they just kind of debrief, and they're like, you know, this is what happened. And they get a whole hour of just talking things through. And for them, that means so much more than going through the program. Yeah. Surprisingly to me, it's the one-on-one time that they want. It's the time to be heard. It's the time to feel like they have someone else's undivided attention.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Over there. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to edit.
Yeah, it's okay. Is that the 5-year-old?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's a part of it, right? Because this is the Mommy Mogul Mastery podcast. And so a part of that is how are we balancing all the things with motherhood, right? So here we go. So what's your name?
Brian.
Brian?
Is that your only name?
No, it's my middle name.
It's your middle name. Okay, so what's your other name?
Nana Kweku.
Nana Kweku. Okay.
Oh, nice. And what do we want for Christmas? Our 2 front teeth? My mom used to tell me that all the time. She'd be like, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. I love it. You are so handsome.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I love this. So, okay, this is the perfect segue, right, into, and if you don't mind, maybe a little bit of that, can I keep?
Yes, you can. As long as it's okay with you.
Oh, no, that's fine with me. I mean, that's what we do, right? Like, we're always balancing all the things. So, clearly, you know, you have your kids at home and you are balancing all of this. So, how do you do it? How do you do it?
Well, first and foremost, my children are virtual schooled.
Okay, nice.
That means they don't go out to school, but I do have them participate in extracurricular activities. Like my son, he participates in local soccer and also high school soccer because he's in high school. My other son, my second son, he likes to swim and he likes to be involved with basketball. So we'll do the YMCA. So we'll go there and he has his chance to interact with others there. It's a little different for Nana Kweku. But I do also take him to the YMCA, so he has some time. He has his brothers. We're learning to read. I'm doing most of that.
Nice.
And being an entrepreneur allows me that space.
Yes.
Mhm.
Amen. Okay, because listen, I'm a homeschool mom, so I
Oh,
homeschool
okay.
both of my kids, so I get having them at home all the time and having to figure out activities and all of that. So another thing we bond on. That is awesome.
Yes.
That is. So what made you decide to have them do virtual schooling versus
COVID.
traditional? And you just decided to keep them.
Shawnee, let me when I realized that they could virtual school, I said, oh no, we're not going back to brick and mortar. Why? Because my older son would tell me about the challenges that he was having in the classroom, especially because I think they picked on him a bit because of his name. His name is an African name. And so I honestly don't think that a lot of the students and teachers respected that. So he would tell me a lot of the challenges that he would have at school. And then my second son, although he's not diagnosed, well, they tested him out of being on the spectrum because he was doing so well in school that they said, oh, well, he can come off now. But I know my child. And I know that as the class sizes grew and as the teachers changed, he wouldn't adjust very well. So when I realized that I could be the fly on the wall, looking at all their assignments, talking with all their teachers, sending emails, and being their, they call learning coach.
Yes.
That's what they call it virtually, right? I was like, oh, I think I like this arrangement better. And it's definitely more economical for our family. And so I just said, okay, well, you all stay. And I asked them, do you want to go back to regular school? And they said no.
I love that. So my oldest, because I started homeschooling my youngest first. When it was time for her to go into 6th grade, we decided, one, she would do virtual. We started there. Because I thought, oh, well, it'll be easier for me. They have their teachers, all those things. Because baby, math and me, at the time, I didn't think it was a good fit. So,
right. I love that.
So we started virtually, and then I was still finding that there was challenges with like the teachers really making the time to nurture their education in a way that I felt would be beneficial for them. So when I saw that they weren't willing to do that, I said, you know what? All right, you're already home. We might as well homeschool. And like you said, being an entrepreneur is what allowed me to do that. Because before, when I was working in government, there was no way. There was no way I was working 10-hour days, not quite the 12, but 10-hour days, and then spending an hour in the parking lot, whining and complaining to my coworkers about the day, and then getting home to my kids every night. My parents already, thank God, had them like showered and fed, but I was not spending time with them.
Right. Right.
So it has been, I thank God every day for allowing me to be on this journey. It gets hard, and sometimes I feel like, maybe I should just go back and get a job because it's stressful. But when I think about all the blessings that have come with it, one, being there for my family. 2, I can cook them meals every day with no pressure.
Oh, you're my spirit animal, Johnny. You are my spirit animal. Listen, I love it. I love being able to share their meals every day. I love being able to say, sweetheart, what would you like for dinner today? I love that. And now they're helping me in the kitchen.
Yes.
It's like, okay, who has the vegetables? I'll do the meat because I don't want y'all messing with the meat. I'll do the meat. Who's going to cook the potatoes or the rice, the ground provisions, whatever? That's you?
He's like, I call it.
And so we're really functioning as a family in a different kind of way, in a special kind of way.
In your uniquely identified way. This is what works for your family.
Yes.
I love it. The other night I was so proud. I called my parents because I was working on some stuff for the business, and my daughter came and she says, Mommy, I'm hungry. I said, me too. I said, but I don't feel like cooking. She says, I'll cook. She said, what do we have? Right? And I said, well, I took out some ground turkey. She said, well, I can make tacos. I said, okay. And then I called my youngest and I said, you know how to make brownies? And she was like, no. And I said, but if I taught you how, would you know how? She was like, yeah. So I, kind of walked her through it. She made the brownies. My oldest made the tacos. And we had a beautiful meal. And I was just so like full because not only are they learning, one, my work ethic, right? They're learning how to really work towards achieving your goals. They're also getting more unique time with me, like quality time with me in our homeschool program, because we do our morning basket every single morning. Yeah. And then they also are learning life skills that I may not have time to teach them before, but now it's like naturally being integrated into our day. Man, I feel so blessed. Yes. So this is awesome.
It really is a blessing. And then you have times like now where I'm like, sweetheart, I need a little time, and he won't give it to me.
And that's okay. And that's okay because you're right here in this place for a reason, right? Yeah. Because I love it. I respect it. I understand as mommies, we got to put our families first, right? What kind of, Mommy Mogul Mastery podcast would this be if we did not show the actual, like, mommy? You know what I mean?
Okay, you love it. I'm glad you love it because he's not letting up today.
No, he's like, Mommy, I can hear her. She loves me being here. Like, oh my gosh.
He's feeding off of the energy. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah.
So good. Yay. Well, listen, I have loved every minute of this conversation, and I really want people, I'm going to leave all of the information in the show notes for how people can reach out to you, how they can work with you, because it would be such a blessing for people to invest in your services and really know that it is for their self-care. It is for serving who they are now, but serving who they desire to be. Yeah. And, and let it be like someone who's a mom, who's a healthcare worker, who, has done all the things. And they're like, I just need someone who understands where I am. Well, clearly, Nyoka understands where
you know I do. I do. I know when you feel like you want to throw in the towel. I know when you feel like you're unstoppable, because we have those times too, So I know all the phases. I know all the stages, and still learning more. As I talk with people, I gain new insights, and it broadens my perspective and allows me to help even more people. So, I mean, this is my jam, and I want to keep playing my jam for as long as I can.
Yes, awesome. I'm here to support it. So we're going to make sure we get this out to people so that they know. And anyone who is listening, again, I'm leaving all the information below. So run to the comment section or run to the description box and make sure you get the information so you can connect with Miss Nyoka Samuels and her beautiful family.
Thank you, Shani. I love for folks to just jump on my calendar. I'm going to give you the link for my calendar. Just jump on my calendar. Let's schedule time to get to know each other, see if we align, see if our energies match. Obviously, Shani and I are like this already, and we just met. Today is the first day we met, Shani. But I do know that we will continue this connection, and it's truly a blessing being here talking with you. And I just want us to live in our best spaces. I want us to be confident as women. I want us to be confident as mothers and human beings in this crazy world. And we can achieve it with peace, and we can achieve it with what balance looks like for us in a holistic way. So, Shani, thank you so much for having me. I can't thank you enough. And I cannot wait to see you in other rooms and possibly one day getting to meet you in person.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So we will catch you guys in the next episode.